Forget the locomotives. The engines got all the glories, but the cars behind them? They changed civilization. They shaped how we travel, where we live, and what we expect from the journey itself. These are the 10 most iconic passenger cars in history. Some of these cars revolutionized technology. Others defined luxury. A few became symbols of entire nations. And at least one car on this list changed where millions of Americans chose to live. By the end, you'll understand why the most iconic passenger car ever built wasn't about the car at all. Let's begin. Number 10. The Harriman Standard Coach. In 1906, railroad tycoon Edward Harriman had a problem. Every railroad ran different cars, different sizes, different designs. Maintenance was a nightmare. His solution was radical standardization. The Harriman Standard Coach became the template for an entire generation of American rail travel. Thousands were built. They ran for decades. And they proved that sometimes, the most iconic design is the one you never notice. The backbone of Western rail travel was built on these unsung workhorses. But while America standardized, Europe pursued a different dream. Number 9. The Orient Express sleeping cars. No train in history has captured the imagination quite like the Orient Express. Those midnight blue sleeping cars became synonymous with mystery, luxury, and international intrigue. Mahogany panels, brass fixtures, private compartments that whispered of secrets. Paris to Constantinople. Through the heart of a continent. Agatha Christie set a murder here. James Bond fought for his life in one of these compartments. The Orient Express sleeping car didn't just transport passengers, it transported them into a story. The next car on our list couldn't be more different. No wood, no brass, just gleaming American innovation. Number 8. The Budd stainless steel car. That unmistakable corrugated shine. You've seen it 1,000 times, and you're still seeing it today. The Budd Company perfected stainless steel construction in the 1930s. The cars were lighter, stronger, and nearly indestructible. Railroads couldn't get enough of them. Here's the remarkable part. Some Budd cars built in the 1950s are still in daily service, 70 years later. When you ride commuter rail in Philadelphia, Chicago, or San Francisco, there's a good chance you're sitting in a Budd car, an icon of durability, hiding in plain sight. But Budd's next innovation didn't just change how cars were built. It changed what passengers could see. Number 7. The Vista Dome. Imagine seeing the Rocky Mountains from inside a glass bubble. In 1945, a General Motors executive rode in the cab of a freight locomotive through the Colorado Rockies. He looked up through the cab windows and thought, why can't passengers see this? Within a year, the first Vista Dome cars were under construction. The California Zephyr, running from Chicago to San Francisco, made them famous. Travel magazines called it the most talked about train in America. For the first time, the journey wasn't just about the destination. The scenery became the attraction. The Vista Dome turned passengers into sightseers and rail travel into an experience. Now, let's talk about the car that nearly killed the steam locomotive. Number 6. The Pioneer Zephyr. 1934. The height of the Great Depression. And this gleaming silver bullet changed everything. The Pioneer Zephyr wasn't just a train, it was a statement. Articulated cars sharing trucks between them. Diesel-powered. Stainless steel throughout. It set a speed record. Chicago to Denver, over 1,000 miles, in just 13 hours. Non-stop. The nation was captivated. Millions lined up just to walk through it. The message was clear. The future of railroading wouldn't be pulled by steam. The Pioneer Zephyr didn't just carry passengers, it carried the railroad industry into the modern age. We've seen standardization, luxury, innovation, scenic revolution, and the birth of the streamlined era. But now we're entering different territory. The next 4 cars didn't just change rail travel, they changed nations. Number 5. The Shinkansen Series 0. October 1st, 1964. Tokyo, Japan. The world's first high-speed rail line opened for service. And these cars rewrote the rules. The Series 0 Shinkansen. 210 kilometers per hour. Smooth. Silent. On time to the second. Tokyo to Osaka in 4 hours. What once took 8, now took half. Japanese businessmen could live in one city and work in another. Every high-speed train that followed, the French TGV, the German ICE, China's vast network, owes a debt to these cars. The Series 0 proved that trains could compete with planes. That speed and comfort weren't mutually exclusive. Japan didn't just build a train, they built the future. Meanwhile, in America, one car became synonymous with an entirely different legacy. Number 4. The Amfleet. Love it or hate it. If you've ridden Amtrak in the past 50 years, you know this car. The Amfleet. Introduced in 1975. Still running today. It arrived during American passenger rail's darkest hour. Penn Central had collapsed. Amtrak was barely surviving. These cars were built tough, built cheap, and built to last. They became the workhorse of the Northeast Corridor. Boston, New York, Washington, critics call them dated, uncomfortable, overdue for replacement. But here's the thing. They're still here, still carrying millions of passengers every year. The Amfleet isn't glamorous, but it is iconic. The car that kept American passenger rail alive. If Amfleet represents survival, our next entry represents ambition. Number 3. The TGV Duplex, double-decker, 320 kilometers per hour. French engineering at its finest. The TGV Duplex solved a problem that seemed impossible. How do you carry more passengers on a high-speed train without making it longer? You build up. 40% more capacity. Same platform length. These cars don't just travel at aircraft speeds. They do it with twice the passengers. Paris to Lyon. Paris to Marseille. The backbone of French mobility. In 2007, a modified TGV Duplex set the world rail speed record. 574.8 kilometers per hour. The TGV Duplex proved that high-speed rail could be both fast and practical. A true engineering icon. We've reached the top 2. One of these cars made long-distance travel possible for ordinary Americans. The other built the very idea of what a passenger train could be. Number 2. The Pullman Palace Car. Before George Pullman, long-distance train travel was misery. Hard wooden benches, no sleeping accommodations, days of discomfort. Pullman changed everything. Convertible sleeping berths, elegant dining, plush seating. The Palace Car made overnight travel civilized. And it created an institution, the Pullman Porter. Tens of thousands of African-American men built careers and middle-class lives serving passengers on these cars. Suddenly, you could cross the continent in comfort. San Francisco was no longer weeks away. It was days. The Pullman name became synonymous with quality, with luxury, with the promise of travel itself. These cars didn't just transport passengers. They transported the American dream. But there's one more car. And to understand why it's number 1, we need to look beyond the car itself. Number 1. The Pullman Sleeper. The heavyweight Pullman Sleeper, painted in that distinctive Pullman green. Not the most luxurious, not the fastest, not the most technologically advanced, but the most consequential. In the early 20th century, these cars formed the largest fleet of sleeping cars the world had ever seen. They went everywhere. Every major city, every branch line, a unified system spanning a continent. For the first time in history, ordinary Americans could travel overnight in reasonable comfort, affordably, reliably. And here's what that meant. If you could travel easily, you could live further from work. The Pullman Sleeper didn't just move people, it helped create the geography of modern America. Business travel, family vacations, a national mobility that connected a vast country. The green Pullman sleeper isn't iconic because of what it was. It's iconic because of what it made possible. The most iconic passenger car in history was the one that built a nation. From the Harriman Standard to the TGV Duplex, from the Orient Express to the Shinkansen, these cars shaped how humanity moves. But there are dozens more we couldn't include. The dining cars, the observation cars, the private cars of the Gilded Age. Let us know in the comments which iconic passenger car deserves its own video. And if you want to see more railroad history, you know what to do. Thanks for watching.